Entry fragging is an often misunderstood role, which requires an unbreakable mentality and an outstanding initiative and understanding of the entire round playing out. So what does it take to be the best? And what are some common flaws and limitations which hold some players back from their full potential? Let's dive into it, starting at the most basic level, and finishing with some of the best players in the world and why I believe they are elite entry fraggers. Due to the development of statistics, fans will often regard an entry fragger to simply be someone who attempts a high number of opening duels on T sides via HLTV stats. But this is an oversimplification, as it says nothing about the context of when, why, and how the player attempts to entry. You will see there is a huge value difference between a player who only entries when they desire to do so, and players whose dedicated role is to sacrifice everything for their team. This is precisely what some teams have, a dedicated player that you will see go first every time they call and execute. But even so, these players might not play the role of entry in all of the contexts, so it really complicates things for the viewers. And then other teams might choose who's going to entry depending on the map and the location, as they want to limit the amount of information that the other team has so they cannot react too quickly. For example, if my apartment player on Inferno dies on a failed B execute and we have to cancel the round, then the CTs will be aware of this and will over-rotate quickly at first due to seeing his name, and then may even go back and push to take the apartments, knowing it is most likely clear, thus giving them huge amounts of space and information. So this means that there are not actually many completely dedicated entry fraggers, and even fewer who actually thrive in this role. And that's why, when done right, it's one of the most valuable roles in the game. So let's take a look. Level 1, the beta. The opposite of what every player should strive for. This player never goes first, and only wants to trade his teammates. He's often stood somewhere near the back on buy rounds, but as soon as the opposing team has an eco, he declares himself to be the entry and then makes a call that is going to secure him as many eco frags as possible. Everyone has played with this player, the guy who buffs his own stats to feel better and contributes very little. Don't be this guy. Level 2, the hesitator. Well, this guy at least tries to be the entry, but he has his demons. What if the AWP is holding me? What if there are 2 players here? What if our smokes and flashes miss? The key to being an entry fragger is confidence. Trust the call that is being made and the support around you. If it seems to consistently fail, then analyze and find issues later. To hesitate is to miss opportunities. And as an entry fragger, timing is everything to give yourself the best chance. The less time the CTs have to react, the better for you. So don't miss those timing windows and stick to it. It will never always go your way. No matter how good the IGL is, sometimes you will die, but that is also part of the role. So accept it and embrace it. But before we continue, I'd like to announce today's sponsor, Skin Club. Myself and Gamerlegion have decided to partner up with Skin Club because they are one of the only fair CS2 case opening platforms, offering hundreds of cases and a ton of unique features. Please keep in mind that you can only play if you are 18 and older. Skin Club uses a provably fair system, meaning every drop is 100% verifiable and cannot be manipulated. This means that everybody is on a level playing field. You'll get daily free cases, giveaways, battle modes, and even community built cases, where you can design your own case with any skins you want. Create as many as you like and share them with others. When you win something you like, you'll really appreciate their instant withdrawal system. And if you don't get anything great, you can still try upgrading it. It's super easy to deposit, tons of payment options, and if you click my link in the description, you'll get a 7% bonus on your first deposit. So if you are over 18, check out Skin Club by clicking the link in the description. Level 3, the Schrodinger's entry. Maybe he's an entry, maybe not. This player will do anything for you, but only if he is in the mood for it. Entering is a taxing role at times. The first kill when entering a bomb site is often a freebie for the CT player, and often the star players find themselves going in to trade the entry fragger. A common issue that I see at lower levels is that some players will only take initiative when they're having a good game. So when things get tough, they begin to hesitate, which often presents fewer opportunities to find frags and get back into the game, but also creates a tricky dynamic for their team where the entry fragger isn't reacting fast enough, and so no space is being created. It also creates an inconsistent dynamic, where other players don't really know what to expect from this type of player, so it makes them a difficult teammate as well. Without space, star players aren't able to be stars, and they may even get forced into entering to prevent the best timings from slipping away, when they see their usual entry fragger being slow to respond. And trust me, this can create frustrations for everyone. The key to moving past this is to take everything round by round, rather than focusing on what happened to you in the previous ones. Also, take notice of how you play on your good days, and note down all of your good in-game habits and plays. This lets you build your own playbook, and equip yourself with strategies you can execute confidently, even on off days, because you know objectively that they work. If your job is to be the entry player, then your reactions need to be reliable and consistent, and that's how you can achieve it. Actually, here's a clip of Flamesy talking about exactly this.
You're talking a lot about confidence and courage, like in the game. What's it? How do you feel like it's helped you when you have a bad game, like bouncing back in a game, like having a really bad half?
I think that's the thing that is like, even when you have a bad half, you still know that you're still disciplined to your game. You still know that game works out for you. So you stick with this game. You don't start like changing up and...
Level 4, the feeder. This is a player who is very eager to entry frag, but he hasn't yet found his balance. He only has one gear, someone who plays with so much initiative and so much speed that his teammates cannot even keep up with him. My friend Cypher has improved massively on this since joining Fnatic, but in these examples a year ago, we see the same pattern 3 times in the same ending. His team explodes B, and the moment they are able to take space, he ends up going so quickly that the gap between him and the teammates is huge and completely untradeable, leading to a quick cleanup. It simply looks ugly, and gives the CTs an easy 5v4 situation with plenty of time to reposition. And in all 3 of these rounds, his team loses the round so heavily with almost no chance to win whatsoever. Usually this responsibility lies in the entry player asking if the follow-up players are ready, and the trading pack warning the entry fragger about spacing. And if these protocols are missed, then rounds will look exactly like this. As I mentioned earlier, Cypher has improved in this massively, and he's actually a really good friend of mine. I think he does a lot of selfless work for his team, and he had a huge impact when beating my own team a few weeks ago. This is purely an example of how a team could be negatively affected if the role is played without patience and too quickly. And yes, I did get his permission before talking about this. Level 5, the unappreciated entry. This player has drawn the short straw. They understand everything, but their role constrains them to the most punishing type of entry in. But they do it, and they do it well. It's the player who spends 80% of rounds supporting their team with utility, and barely ever going for favourable duels. And when it is at their absolute hardest, they go first, to let their teammates trade them and play the late round situations. This is the most thankless job in all of Pro CS, and often this will fall on the in-game leader's shoulders. Statistics have no way of showing how much impact this type of player has, and for my team, ZTR often does this role. And that means that when he does end up entering, it is often when he has almost no chance to find a kill. With 35 seconds on the clock, we are about to run into a 3-man stack against Falcons. And to make it even worse, TeSS throws down a smoke at the same moment as Dexter kills Slend. Even with our gun advantage, the situation looks dire. And in these moments, someone has to go first. In almost all of our games, ZTR throws a support utility and tries to make the others shine. And in this moment, he is entering in a doomed situation where he wouldn't even receive the statistic bonus of being an entry due to Slend's dying first in the round. He runs through the smoke, which helps to distract Dexter, who then dies to PR from the apartments, and then quickly runs at and kills TeSS, which makes Nico's hidden position significantly weaker due to having nobody left to play off of. The statistics hate it, nobody considers you an entry, and is often a completely thankless role, with teammates taking the plaudits for success, and the entry taking the blame for an ugly looking death if the round does fail. Level 6, the superstar. The player who has all of the killer instincts, the talent, and the timings. This player needs to be fully taken off the leash and allowed to be himself. Nobody does this better than Donk. He has almost total freedom in the early and mid rounds and will use initiative as much as possible to find his jewels. He isn't reliant on teammates to throw amazing utility or to play only in favourable areas. He can do it all. If he sees an opportunity, he will never hesitate and he will almost always capitalise. But there's only one catch. He isn't the dedicated entry player. If Spirit are to end a round as 4 or 5 players in one area, then he will almost never be the first one going in, and instead is set up to trade Zway, Zontix, or Chopper. In this B hit, Zontix will create the space, and Donk with his AK is trading him purely with initiative. He isn't following Zontix through to the car, but instead he exploits the space that he's created to jump on the box and kill Heavy God, who exploits his own position by shooting at Zontix. And then he finds an easy trade onto Mattis, who killed Zontix a moment earlier. In this one game against G2, Donk went for 4 entry attempts in the first 7 rounds, killing 5 in the process and dying first only once. Level 7, the complete entry fragger. He can do it all, yet he chooses to sacrifice perfect stats for the maximum impact. This is the type of player that you can only find in teams that have been best of the best. Teams that have had their eras. Teams that were composed of masters of their craft. To showcase what it takes to become such a player, I wanted to show the absolute nightmare scenario and the mentality that's required to be truly elite as an entry fragger. Imagine, you're playing the semi-final of ESL Cologne, one of the biggest and loudest crowds in all of Counter-Strike, and streamed to hundreds of thousands of people online against one of the best teams in the world, MOUZ. You've just lost the first map, and now it is time to play T-side of Train which is statistically the hardest T-side of any map in the entire pool, and this happens. fraggers has the worst game of his entire career, and we see literally nothing going his way at all. If we had to do a quickfire demo review, we see how this game plays out. In the anti-eco, he dies first, being flashed out of the CT A main smoke as Vitality attempt to pop quickly onto Mouse to catch them off guard. The next round, he leads the team onto another A explode and gets shot in the side whilst attention is drawn to the CTs on the bomb site. And then he gets spammed through the smoke when trying to make space for Zayu to trade him with the better gun. He gets AWP'd going in first before the smoke pops, and even when he makes the perfect play, his teammate misses the flash, which allows Brolan to kill him and survive on 10 HP. With his individual score being 1-7 at this point, Vitality will go for a fast A split, but find themselves blocked quickly by Mouse, who understand and counter their plan with an early pop dog smoke. Rops realises that Brolan smoked A main by hand and spams him through the smoke, and fraggers disregards the past rounds and reacts in an instant, understanding that there is a high chance that a gap has been created for him to sneak out. In this moment, he is totally alone in the yard with no support whatsoever, and this is where Vitality will play off his contact and react later by the extra space that he has created. Unfortunately, in this instance, Vitality aren't able to capitalise, and this means that Pogy has an easy time finding a kill onto Rops, who tried to sneak out with the space that fraggers had created. Many players in this situation would simply stand still in team main, knowing that they're having an unlucky game and trying to avoid things going worse. But fraggers is dedicated to his role, and he knows that it is his job to create space for more playmaking opportunities. If he's able to sneak out and survive in this instance, then a later camera smoke would have put him in an advanced entry position that the CTs would not be expecting. And if he does find an entry frag, then a waiting Mezzi can lurk quickly through Ivy whilst Apex and Rops fly out of pop. I actually messaged him about using this game for the video, and his reply perfectly epitomises his attitude. The team comes first, and his identity in the team is as the entry fragger who looks to perfectly nail his role, and the statistics and eye test back this up. It's almost become a trademark move for fraggers on T-sides to go in first no matter where Vitality end, and literally jump in with his knife out to try and make the CTs miss, to create the extra space for Mezzi, Rops and Zayu to trade him and win the late round situations. In this example, he creates so much space that he actually kills Nertz, who's rotating to help V, and this leaves Naf completely helpless and a free kill for the remaining Vitality players to pick up shortly after. The fact that he can put up a 1.13 rated T-side with this level of selflessness is absurd. And like we saw in the Yakindar demos, fraggers is elevating the level of his teammates by consistently doing this, no matter how well or poorly the game is going, for both him and Vitality. This has been 7 levels of entry fragger. I hope you've liked it, and if you did, let me know by liking and subscribing. And if you'd like to see more CS content, check out this video where I explained what it takes to be a great in-game leader. Goodbye.